Today, let us go through the remaining portion of the last unit of the lesson Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish by Steve Jobs. Before we go through in detail, let us have the Brahmana. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Swasti. In our previous class, we discussed that at the age of 17, Steve Jobs came across a quotation which had a great impact on him. And what was the quotation that he came across at the age of 17? The quotation was, if you live each day as if it was your last day, someday you will most certainly be right. So this was the quotation that he came across at the age of 17. Thereafter, every day after getting up early in the morning, he stood up himself before the mirror and asked a question. And what question did he ask to himself? He asked the question to himself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And when he got the negative answer, he thought to change himself, and he changed himself. And remember, my dear children, until and unless we don't want to change, nobody can change us. The moment we want to change ourselves, we can change our lives and we can change ourselves. So, we should first of all try to change ourselves. See, after coming across that quotation at the age of 17, what did he do? He stood himself before the morning, immediately after getting up, and asked the question, if I die today, will I be able to do what I have to do today itself? And when he got the negative answer, no, then he thought of changing himself, and he changed himself. So he became that consciousness in his adulthood. And remember also that is a real and purely intellectual concept. And when we become that consciousness, we will not be afraid of making big choices in our lives. Because all the failures will go away, all the fear of failures will not be with us. And we will be adventurous and we will make big choices in our lives. And when we think, if I fail in this job, what others will think about me? Or if I do not get success on it, what others will think of me? And this fear does not make us to make big choices in our lives. And this will come when we become that consciousness. Yes, Steve Jobs became that consciousness in his adulthood life. You know, he went to the Stanford University as a guest in 2005. In fact, he was invited at the commencement program of Stanford University at the commencement in 2005. Here, he says to the students of Stanford University that a year before, that means in 2004, he suffered from cancer. He was diagnosed with cancer. The doctors, after scanning, found that there was a tumor on his pancreas. And when he was told that there was a tumor on his pancreas, he told naively that he didn't know what a pancreas was, but he was told that there was a tumor on his pancreas. There also, the doctors told him that it was an incurable. So he should go home and spend the remaining time of his life with his family members, and he would share what he wanted to do in next 10 years to his kids and his wife. And that was the sign of doctors to prepare for his death. They also told that he should not expect to live more than 3 to 6 months. He could hardly live 3 to 6 months. So he was living with death all the time. But his wife, Lawrence, had not given up hope. That day evening, he had a biopsy. The doctors put an endoscope into his intestine and took a few cells from the tumor. And when they tested the cells under microscope, their joy knew no bounds, because it was a rare kind of pancreatic cancer which was curable through surgery. He underwent an operation and he was cured from that pancreatic cancer. And he is now standing before the students of Stanford University and delivering his speech to them as he was fine. Now let us go through the remaining part of the lesson, Stay Healthy, Stay Foolish. This was the closest I have been to facing death, and I hope it was the closest I get for a few more decades. Even after the operation of his pancreatic cancer, he did not live more. He died in 2011. He was born in 1955 and died in 2011. He had the surgery in 2004 and he was completely recovered from pancreatic cancer. But he thought he would live a few more decades. But he could not live a few more decades. He died 6 years later, his pancreatic cancer. Having lived through it, I can now say this to you with a bit more certainly than when death was a useful and purely intellectual concept. Yes, my dear children, death is a useful and purely intellectual concept. The moment we become death consciousness, we will never do anything wrong in our lives. We will never do any vice in our lives. We will never lose our humanity. We will try to do good to the society and good to the people. No one wants to die. It's true. No one in this world wants to die. Even the insects don't want to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die. See how we are closely related to our lives. How we are in illusion. We say, these hands are mine, this body is mine, he is my son, they are my children. We are in a bondage, and it is not so easy to leave everything and die. So nobody wants to die. And even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die. If Yama comes and tells me, hello sir, if you die today, I will take you heaven. I will say, oh Lord, I don't want to die today. I want to live some more days or some more years with my family members and with others in this earth. So people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to reach there or to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. And we all have to share. But our death. So death is sure to watch, and we cannot escape ourselves from death. So no one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the best single invention of life. Yes, death is the single best invention of life. Because why it is called the single best invention of life? Death is called the single best invention of life because it brings a change in what? As it is called life change agent. What is called life change agent? Death is called life change agent. So it is called, or death is called, the single best invention of life. But we are in illusion. As we are in illusion, we say and think that everything, I am only beautiful, I am only powerful, I am so and so. But everything will fall away or vanish or disappear before the face of death. So let us not lose our humanity. Let us be lover of humanity. Let us give our best to the society. At the same time, let us love as much knowledge as we can in this short span of life, which will be helpful for the people of coming generation. And what does death do? Death tears out the old and gives way the new. It tears out the old to make the way for the new. And the young children, you are the children, you are the new, and I am the old. I have to make way for you, the children. I have to clear out the way or to make the way for you, the children. Right now, the new is you. You are the new. You are the people of coming generation. But someday not too long, you will also gradually become old and be cleared away. You will also die, making way for the coming generation. Sharing, then he expresses his sorrow for being so dramatic. Sharing to be so dramatic, but it is quite true, or it is quite right. Your time is limited. As we have not come to live in this world forever, our lifetime is limited. Your time is limited. Since our time is limited, why will we waste our time? So let us not waste our time. Let us make the best use of our time. So don't waste it living someone else's life. Let us not compare ourselves with others. Let us not live the lives of others. Let us live our own lives. So don't waste it living someone's life. At the same time, let us not be captured. Let us not be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Here, you know, dogma. Dogma is what? Belief put by the authority. Clear. So let us not be trapped by dogma which is living with the results of other people's thinking. At the same time, let us not allow the noise of others' opinions drown out our own inner sense. Let us listen to our inner voice. Let us not allow the noise of others' opinions drown out the sky by being louder than our own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. At the same time, let us have the courage to follow our heart and intuition. We should obey what our heart says to you, and we should listen to our intuition. We should listen to our inner knowledge. So have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know. They refers to here our heart and our intuition somehow know what you truly want to become. Our heart and our intuition know what we want truly to become in our lives. This is important, and the rest is secondary. Everything else is secondary. Then, besides the example of the polar catalog in his speech to the students of Stanford University at their commencement program. When I was young, there was an amazing publication called the Whole Art Catalog. When Steve Jobs was young, there was an amazing publication, and what was that? The Whole Art Catalog, which was one of the Bibles of my generation, and it was the Whole Art Catalog was considered one of the Bibles of his generation, of the generation of Steve Jobs. See here, Whole Art Catalog. The Whole Art Catalog was an American counterculture magazine and product catalog published by Stewart Brand. Several times between 1968 to 72, and the Whole Art Catalog provided a complete information on every sphere of life. With the Hindus think that the Gita is the most sacred book, and it provides all the knowledge, all the information, complete information on every sphere of life. Similarly, people who belong to Christianity think that the Bible, the Holy Bible, provides a complete information on every sphere of life. But what do we think now? We think now Google gets every information to us. So when Steve Jobs was young, there was an amazing publication called the Whole Art Catalog, which was one of the Bibles of his generation. And who created it? It was created, the Whole Art Catalog was created by Stewart Brand. Not far away from in Menlo Park. He was residing near in Menlo Park, and he brought it like Stewart Brand brought the Whole Art Catalog to life with his poetic touch. And this was in the late 1960s, Before, there was no personal computer or desktop, before personal computers and desktop publishing. So it was all made with typewriters. As there were no computers or desktops, how was it made? The Whole Art Catalog was made with typewriters, scissors and Polaroid cameras. It was sort of the Google in paperback form. So the Whole Art Catalog was made in paperback form. 35 years before Google came along, and after 35 years there came into being the Google. So it was sort of like Google in paperback form 35 years before Google came along. And it was very nice, it was idealistic and overflowing with neat tools and great notions. Notions means ideas, great ideas. Stewart and his team put out several issues of the whole art catalog. You know, put out means published. Stewart Brand and his team published several issues of the whole art catalog. And then, when it had run its way or its course, Stewart Brand and his team published a final issue. And they published the final issue of the whole art catalog in 1972. So it was in the mid 1970s. At that time, when the final issue of the whole art catalog was published, at that time Steve Jobs was young. He was at the age of the Stanford University students. I was your age. And on the back cover page of the final issue of the whole art catalog, there was a picture, there was a photograph of an early morning country road. And what was on the last cover page of the final issue of the whole art catalog, there was a picture of an early morning country road. And it has been compared with the kind you might find yourself hitchhiking. Hitchhiking means to travel by asking for free ride if you were so bold undertaking or if you were so adventurous. So on the back cover page of the final issue of the whole art catalog, there was a photograph of an early morning country road. The kind you might find yourself hitchhiking on it if you were so adventurous. And beneath the picture of the early countryside road, there was a message. And what was that? Stay hungry, stay foolish. As I have already explained to you, stay hungry means we should not feel ourselves contented with whatever we achieve in our life. Rather, we should feel hungry to do more and more or to achieve more and more in our lives. Similarly, what does stay foolish mean? Stay foolish means we should never think that we have learned all in our lives. Rather, we should think that whatever we have learned is nothing. If we feel ourselves we are foolish, we will be inquisitive to learn more and more in our lives. So beneath the picture of the early countryside road, there were words, stay hungry, stay foolish. It was their herbal message. Stay hungry, stay foolish, were the herbal message of Stewart Brand and his team as they shined off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I have always wished for myself, and I have always wished that refers to your stay hungry, stay foolish for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin your new life, I wish you also feel sane. You should also remain hungry and foolish to do and achieve more and more in your lives. And I have always wished that for myself, and now you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. And what did he wish to the students of Stanford University at the commencement program? He wished them stay hungry, stay foolish. Before concluding his speech to the students of Stanford University, he wished that they should remain hungry and foolish in their lives. Thank you all very much.